Facebook, family, and friends. What's happening? You know what this is, Live with Okor, Racine. That's our community, our responsibility, Racilla. We're going to have a regular on tonight. Jimbo, Jim Bam, Jim Jam, the Jim Bobber. Send out these quick viewer requests. So tonight we're going to fuck around and find out. We're going to talk about a bunch of stuff. It's going to be kind of an open forum. If you like talking, hit us up. You know how we do it. Leave a comment. Send a DM if you want to join. I got Jim sitting in the background doing nothing right now because I'm a dick. I can see him. I don't know if he can hear me. Hey, Jim, wave if you can hear me. Oh, he can hear me. Hey, that's for you, bro. How you doing back there in the green room, buddy? Oh, Lord. I see he sent me a private chat, too. I don't know if I want to look at it. He kind of frightens me at times. Jimbo's one of them bros that, you know, you're just not sure what you're going to get when he sends you something, but you know it's going to make you laugh or smile. Bang, man, let me get him in here. Jimmy Jammy, what's happening?
Hoorah.
Hoorah. What was your, and you know, it doesn't matter to me, like, what was your rank at discharge, at retirement? Let's not talk about
I
it.
was in P1. And P1, they were
P1?
me, they took away my skier wings.
Yeah. I was gonna say, you know, with your authority issues, like the fact that you made it in, period, was surprising. Like, I don't know how you weren't court-martialed a million times for saying why, or yeah, see, playing with toys, like ding dang, bing bang. What's going on, brother?
Now, just for the record, man, I have a general discharge on honorable conditions. I am an RE 3-3 Charlie, which essentially means if I was ever to go back in the military, Jesus Christ would have to sign my waiver.
Hey, you're breaking up really bad, but I heard everything you said. What kind of microphone are you using?
I'm going to reload the page here. I'm stepping up.
All right. Bam, bam. So how's everybody doing tonight? It's Saturday night, 9 p.m. Okor getting it in. Having a good time. As usual, because I'm doing it so late, I'm having to do my own producing and production stuff. Here he comes. Here he came. Let's see if that is better or not. You there?
No, it's horrible.
What's going on your end?
You sound garbled as can be.
My sound is?
Okay.
Hey, I got 4 of you out there watching live. Let me know if I sound garbled. If you're having problems receiving my feed, I'm about to check my dynamics now. Man, we got people viewing. I see you, Linda. Love you, hon.
See, now you're clear.
Now I'm clear?
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Did I go away again?
No. What in?
All right. You got messy again. I think what's happening is, are you there?
No.
You're not there? Where are you at? Where'd you go?
Here. I'm gone. Somebody heard to me.
How is that? Is that better? Huh. Let's close that. All right. How's that working? I love you too. I sound fine. Hey. You're fine too. The other dude doesn't sound good. Jimbo. So it's something on your end. Are you watching me on the StreamYard or on the Facebook, Jim?
Hold on, I'm working out the details here.
Yeah, because I think your Facebook is interfering with your StreamYard. So, Facebook family and friends, yesterday we had a pretty important conversation discussing the word responsibility and what it means when it is used in the context that I use it for our community, our responsibility. What am I talking about? What do I mean? What am I saying? We're kicking a bobo tonight. So if you want to talk about something else, drop a chat down, leave a comment, or hit me up in the DM, and I'll send you a link, and you can come right in. Did you really message me? You sound like you have a bag of dicks in your mouth. That was what your private chat was, Jim?
I'm trying to work on my end. I'm here. Give me just 5 minutes, man.
You guys, do you see what I have to deal with when I bring these on? Like when I bring these random dudes as guests on, you sound like you have a bag of dicks in your mouth, bro. Banging.
I still hear you.
Awesome. Right there.
Just so you know.
Right there, Jim. Right there. So, Jim, you were unable to participate last night, unfortunately. I know you had some family stuff that you were dealing with and going through. So I'm glad everything's okay and everything's all right and you had a good night. I really was looking for your opinion on our discussion last night, but I'm okay that you had your stuff going on.
Give me 5 here, Monty.
I'm gonna say not cool. Huh.
I'm trying to figure out where the hell to mute the mic on the Facebook page. That's what I'm doing right now.
You shouldn't be on the call on Facebook. You should be on StreamYard. If you want to mute your sound, it's at the bottom right-hand corner of the video if you're watching the video on Facebook. That can be a little distracting for you because there's that 10 seconds, 12-second time lapse. So I always suggest leaving your StreamYard on as your primary and then keeping your comment section open. Because then you'll see the live comments as they come in, just like you're on Facebook.
That's what it did. We're all squared away.
Bang, bang. Look at you. You're all back and solid. So last night, bro, we had a pretty good conversation. My friend Britt hit up. In fact, let me send her a link. We were talking about what do we mean when we say it's our responsibility. What can we do to improve our neighborhoods? What steps do we need to take? And she was concerned, and we had talked about the fact that at the moment she didn't have a plan; she only had a dream. And so the plan is the plan, then, right? Like instead of thinking about not having a plan, let's make the plan, right? Bang, bang.
What's the objective?
Well, her objective was to bring light to the public about how it is to be in recovery and what it's like to struggle and be poor and the battle to get out of that, right? That was her dream, right? Like she wants to bring that, like we were talking about last night, as a middle-class white woman, she wants her voice to be heard, which is much easier than others, and she understands that. She's okay with that. She wants to use that power, right? Like I was saying last night, you want to change your neighborhood, move in a gang of middle-aged white women, and next thing you know, there'll be a Starbucks and a cop house on every corner, right? Like, it doesn't matter how bad the neighborhood is, it will be better, right? Like, nothing changes the world faster than caring. Like, bang, bang, shoot them up. It's hard sometimes, man. Like, and you know, for people like me, it's harder, right? Because I'm in the middle. As being biracial, I I don't fit in either, but I can borrow from both, right? Like I can't be an Aryan Brotherhood because obviously I'm not white enough, right? For some natives, I'm not native enough. I refuse to be labeled Hispanic or Latino because of the outright disrespect and disregard for our indigenous status that brings with it, right? Like, and I don't know if I've explained that to you why those two words are so harmful in our community.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah, and I know I got some viewers who had asked me the other day about that. So let's lay it out for you guys real quick here. When you use the word Latino or Hispanic to describe a North American indigenous human being or a Central or a South American indigenous human being, you actually steal their indigenous status away from them and label them as a European. Both the word Latino and Hispanic ties back to Europe. A Latino is someone who speaks the language and is a descendant of the Latin languages, right? Which is the original Italian, vernacular from Rome. A Hispanic is someone whose language is traced back to Spain, both of which are European. So when you label someone Hispanic or Latino, you rob them literally of their indigenous heritage, right? You say you're no longer an indigenous human being, you don't qualify, you are now a European. That's where you come from. So I refuse to be labeled as a Hispanic or a Latino, and I become very insulted when people use that in connection with me and my heritage, right? Like we know where we're from.
So, what exactly are we supposed to call a brother?
What do you mean? Blue Mountain, my name.
Okay.
I'm indigenous. I'm a Native American. Both on my south of the border side and my north of the border side, right? Like my mother's family is Apache, Azteca, Tolteca, and Yucatan, right? Like so, we're indigenous on all parts of that part of our bloodline.
See, now that's beautiful, and I understand and respect that. But what I'm saying is, if we happen look at my big bald white ass fucking glowing head, right? And if one of my Caucasian brethren there happens across an individual who doesn't appreciate either term, right? Do we have a stock, safe, go-to identifier?
Yeah, I'm
Or
Native
do we
American.
take the time to ask?
I'm Native American.
Okay. Well, what I'm saying though is if I happen across another individual, right, and I present the wrong terminology, right, without knowing it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, we're Native Americans. It's going to take education for those Spanish-speaking natives that are here to understand how much harm they cause themselves when they adopt that nomenclature and call themselves Hispanic or Latino. And it's huge in the community, right? Like they just run around here, oh, I'm Hispanic or the Latino culture. Like, first off, there's no such thing as a Latino culture unless you're from Rome, right? Like you're a descendant of the Romans, and yeah, there's no Hispanic culture unless you're from Spain, right? There's a native culture here, and there's an amalgam of a new culture, right? Where we took Spaniard practices and mixed them in with our indigenous beliefs, like Division de Guadalupe. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we have now for 400 years considered that to be the Virgin Mary. Now you know the symbolism behind that, the symbol behind that has existed for thousands of years, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was their goddess, the Toltec goddess Tonatzin, right? So when the Spaniards came to help the indigenous people of southern Mexico adopt Catholicism, they overlaid the Virgin Mary on it and said, see, your goddess is our the mother of our God, right? Come to worship. And over time, they killed and colonized the people until now they think that that's the Virgin Mary, like that's the mother of their Jesus, right? Like it's not true. Like that existed for thousands of years before Christianity was even thought of, before it was an idea in the concept of some, colonizer's brain. Uh, so when we
Right.
use those terms, like they're harmful. They commit. Uh, they bring continued colonization, right? They bring continued pain. Uh, and so I don't use them. I refuse to use them. I refuse to identify any human being as Hispanic or Latino because there's no such thing. That doesn't exist. That's a made up word by the American government and the American census to group us all together into one culture and say, well, all these Hispanics count as one faction of the United States because they all speak Spanish. They're all the same. We're going to call them the Latino vote or the Hispanic vote, and we'll put them all in one. And look at the census. Look at how many Latinos are in the United States.
Here's an interesting factoid. The 1950s census is about to be released. And I wonder where all these different folks are going to stand on that, if they're even going to exist at that time.
Natives didn't even count on the census. Like when we talk about systemic racism and the whitewashing of our country, like natives didn't even count as human beings until well into the 20th century. Like,
right?
They didn't even count us as human beings. Like, they acknowledged blacks and Mexicans before they did the indigenous people of this country, and women. Like women, blacks, and Mexicans, right, were given rights and civil rights prior to the native indigenous peoples here in the United States. Like it's still hard, and in heavily indigenous populated areas in the United States, like they're still suffering from serious racism. There was was just watching a news report about a hotel in South Dakota that banned all natives because they couldn't tell a good one from a bad one, is what they said. Like they didn't know
I've been following that too.
Bad, and so no natives were allowed in their hotel anymore. Like what?
They all got together and served them an eviction notice.
Yeah, because they were on tribal land.
Yeah.
Like they think because they're in a city that that's not tribal land. That's tribal land leased by the United States government in perpetual, right? So you're still on native land, dickhead. Like beat it. Find somewhere else to park.
I got some fun facts for you, right? And it ties into what we're talking about a little bit. Okay. Is my people came their ass over here on one of them 3 boats. Okay. And there's actually been one of my ancestors in every campaign since them boats landed. Okay.
You talking about military campaign?
Yes. Now, I'm a big, huge fan of researching because as a Caucasian individual, right, my heritage and background is so convoluted and mixed and out, right, that really genuinely the only thing I can claim is I'm American. Okay. But in following this, right, my first ancestor settled in the town that I'm living in right now in 1837.
Really?
So my family we were in Wisconsin before Wisconsin was a state. Legit. Okay. So I think about this, in the terms of the people that were here before us, right? The ones that we muzzled our way in on. Okay. Now I'm here as an ally and as a friend, and I'm happy to call you my brother. I'm proud of that, you know. But it makes for an interesting, like the line that's on the screen between us. There's an interesting division, in that heritage and background. But the commonality is here we are together as brothers talking to our general community. which is I'm gonna just segue right into shit from that. Because like I'm poverty ridden. I live below the poverty line. I live on less than $15,000 a year. I currently live in low income housing, but I live in white people low income housing out in the county. You see, and it really there's only one family in this whole complex that's not white. You know, and that says something about the culture, just in and of itself. Okay. And I was going somewhere with this, and that ADHD just reached up and shook me. So bear with me a second, man. So the point is here I am still in poverty, right? What's the biggest aspect of my poverty is the state won't let me move forward. That's all through family court, all through child support. Now you're in Racine County, right? And we know, and we've talked about before, that nationally, Racine County is in the top 5 of the whole country for the amount of African American, black folks, whatever we're supposed to be using today, for the amount of brothers that pay child support. And they're all in the same damn boat as me. We have that commonality, and there's no getting out of that cycle. That's a part of that poverty system. And when we investigate that, the concept is it was decided in that Social Security Act, right, that children had a right to financial support.
Mm.
Right? But what they've done with that financial support is removed the father, essentially.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that was the overall plan, if that was the ultimate end game. But now I'm out here, right, as a disabled veteran in low income housing on freaking food stamps, right? When I could be doing so much more. And that won't change until the last one is 18.
Right.
So as we look into this system of what it's like to be poor,
Yeah. Yeah, I have no qualms with admitting that the United States has a classism problem, right? Like classism is a true um, problem in the United States, just as much as racism is, right? Systemic or otherwise. Um, and it's even worse for white people who stand with minorities, right? Like they get ostracized even more so. Like if you stand on the side of equality and um, the BIPOC community or the LGBTQTA plus, is it?
LGBTQIA.
Okay. So, and I'm going to be dead honest, I'm ignorant of what all of that means. I know a portion of it, but it's changed so recently and so often that, I failed to keep
You,
up.
you know what, man? Look, you see this white glowing dome, right? See all that beautiful, lovely dark hair on your face, man, right? I can't be an Apache no more than you can be a white dude, man. But I
Yeah.
love you just the same.
I know it. I know it,
You know
right?
what I mean?
Like I've been blessed. My circle is strong. Like the people that I keep close to me, I know their values. I know their um, strengths and their weaknesses, right? And as well as I know mine. Like I know I am pro freedom in the truest sense, right? I don't care if he wants to be she or she wants to be a her. I don't care like if they want to be called Miss, Mr., Mrs. Like whatever you want to do and want me to participate in to make you feel equal, I'm okay with. I want you to feel as if you have the exact same rights and love and support that anyone else in our world deserves, right? Like I'm not I don't understand it, but I don't have to understand it to respect it. Right? I don't have to understand it to show my compassion. I don't have to understand it to um, give you equality. Right? I don't have to. Nobody does. Let's just accept that.
But that separatism plays so much into poverty. I would be willing to say that it's most likely at the core of it.
Yeah, poverty's a hard
No.
subject to tackle. Like, I don't know. I know this, right? For a poor person to become not poor, they need a fucking miracle. Right?
You either don't get caught doing drugs or you steal.
Yeah.
You know, because there's the old adage that if you work hard, you'll get it. But I call bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, I know people who spend their whole lives killing themselves and doing the best that they can, and they just never get that one breakthrough, you know, that one break that changes their lives forever, no matter what they do. Like, no matter how hard they try, no matter how hard they work, you know, without that less than 1% chance of something, you know, striking, lightning striking them, they're not going to become rich. They're not going to become wealthy. They're not even going to make it to the middle class. And the middle class is shrinking, right? Like, what was the middle class now is poor, you know, from 20 years ago.
There is no middle class. The middle class doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, that's some shitty shit right there.
It's true, though. And I really think that was a political objective. The more repressed the people are, the easier they are to control.
I got a question, completely off the subject. You know, they voted yesterday, right?
Yeah.
And you know, they voted to decriminalize marijuana in the United States.
Okay.
And, you know, it passed, right?
It's not going to happen in Wisconsin.
Well, Wisconsin won't have
regardless
a choice.
Of what the
Wisconsin won't have a choice.
What the federal law says.
Absolutely. If they decriminalize marijuana, Wisconsin doesn't get to say we can continue to criminalize it. No more than they can criminalize alcohol. They can restrict it.
But so many states just do what they want.
All the way up until the feds get involved. Once the feds get involved, there is no doing what you want. Like the only time Wisconsin ever in the Department of Corrections made an attempt to change anything is when the feds told them, "Hey, get this. You have to lower your prison population, Tommy, or we're going to step in." And what did Tommy do? He lowered the prison population and then shipped a bunch of people out of state to alleviate overcrowding here, right? The Fed said, "Hey, Tommy, we're going to take your funding."
You know what the stepping in was, don't you? Yeah, we're going to take away your money.
Yeah.
That's the stepping in.
Yeah. Well, or you're not going to make like. So, you know, in Michigan, Tommy was a fool. What's up, Tony? I see you, my brother. Hold on. Let me send this shithead this wonderful, beautiful man an invite. Hold on. So hold on. See what this dickhead's doing. So,
you know, we're never going to catch up with Trey Crowder at this point.
Screw Trey Crowder. Hey, louder Crowder. That dude's such an idiot. He's almost as dumb as what's the other guy? He's a white nationalist, even though he's Jewish. He can say he's Jewish all he wants, but he's a Nazi. Ben Shapiro, that piece of crap, right? And I watch his show. You know, I subscribe to his show because I want to hear what he has to say. And I love when he begins to lose an argument, he stops talking. He just cuts it out. I'm not going to talk about that. I'm done. And then he runs. Fucking cowardly douchebag. Anyways, so in Michigan, where they legalized it, and they had all this money flow through Michigan. Michigan was smart. They didn't give money to any of the counties who didn't participate in dispensaries. They said, well, no, if you didn't open a dispensary in your county, you don't get any of this money. You don't get to have any of this, right? So now every county in Michigan is rushing to get a dispensary approval so they can get all this money that's coming back from marijuana sales in Michigan, right? And I don't smoke. So, if you guys are watching this, just so you know, I don't partake in the 420. It's nothing against it. It's a personal choice of mine and nothing else, right? I don't have anything against it. I think for me it would be a crutch if I did use it. So I don't, right? I choose not to. I don't care if other people do.
I plead the fifth.
Well, I'm not asking, so don't ask, don't tell. Didn't you have to deal with that in the Army?
Huh?
Low blow, bro. Low blow. Oh, nice. I like that. Is it a lighter?
Captain.
So, I think all the states are going to have to fall in line or fall behind, and I think Congress is now recognizing that the amount of money made, and the taxable amount of money that they could make off of marijuana is much more valuable than their dead end, battle against marijuana. I think marijuana is much safer than alcohol, and alcohol is legal. Like, we know the damage alcohol does to our communities and to our families and to people of color around the world, and poor people.
Monty, I won't look this up. Okay.
What are you looking up?
Legalization.
What?
And it only says houses passed it.
What's that?
There are more steps.
Hold on. I don't think so. I'm pretty sure this is the last. The 2020 showed how broadly accepted marijuana has become. One day ago.
I still got to go through Senate.
Oh yeah. They just voted to remove it from the federal illicit controlled substances, moving to catch up the states. House passed legislation decriminalizing at the federal level as Democrats and 3 Republicans banded together.
Well, I'll tell you. No, I am a fan of marijuana. Right? It has a practical purpose. I'll give you an example. Is I'm a person with degenerative joint disease and traumatic arthritis.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, those are my cervical disabilities. Right? That means a life of chronic pain. Okay. Chronic pain feeds into depression. Depression feeds into insomnia. Insomnia feeds further into the depression. And what I mean? It's just a nasty, ugly cycle. Now, marijuana, for me, right, dulls the pain, allows me to sleep. It's really insomnia, minimizes the depression, and then that cycle where I'm able to do that freely and legally would continue to perpetuate itself.
Makes sense.
The while we're on the topic, absolutely refuses to do a study on the benefit of medical marijuana.
Wait, you broke up really bad.
I wonder if it's because I spoke too long.
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
Oh, there you are. Now, what did you say?
7 years ago today.
I hate your face.
What I was saying, Monty, was the VA absolutely refuses to do a study on medical marijuana, even though it's proven to benefit PTSD, depression, pain, and several other instances that are common amongst veterans. And it's the criminalization aspect as to why.
Well, you know, and at the same time, um, I mean, the VA has never been accepting of anything new, or not within its agenda of, you know, we're soldiers, we're strong, nothing can hurt us, right? Like, dude, PTSD is still a is still a four-letter word within the VA. Like, you can't talk about PTSD and get away with it, and you know we've proven that that's a real thing.
Yeah, you can. No, you can. That's a recognized diagnosis, man. That's valid and it's up there.
Since when?
It's been a number of years now, but it's in there. When I was a
I got a
volunteer with the
friend.
Veterans Treatment Court, that was one of the major areas that was crossover between the criminality and the treatment plan.
Yeah, I got a friend who just recently, within the last few months, said when he came home, they told him that if he wanted to get his disability approved, to never utter the words PTSD. That's what his
I never
that's what
heard no
his
such
VA
thing.
rep told him. Said, don't utter the word PTSD if you want to get your disability approved. Like, that's here in town.
It's a new one on me.
He goes to the VA out in Union Grove.
That's a new one. That's the same place I go.
Yeah. I mean,
I
it's the
guess
same.
it would boil down to who the VA representative is.
Right. That's another thing, right? Like, there should be clear guidelines. You know, I really love. You know why I loved working with Sammy when I first came home?
Because you got a pretty mouth?
Hey, no, because there were clear guidelines. Like, he kept things pretty simple, right? Like, as complicated as things were, right? Like, he knew what the guidelines were, and he made sure we knew what the guidelines were, and anything in between there was up to us, right? Anything outside of there, it's no good, right? Couldn't be this far, you couldn't be that far, you had to be this far, right? Stay inside these lines, huh?
Did you know that that particular organization that he was associated with when I was associated with him, right, as an employee, never had asked a person if they were a veteran prior to my appearance?
Yeah, I was really disappointed about a lot of that part of it, right? Like, you remember, um, we were talking about having a veterans group, right? Solely a veterans group.
Yeah, your
That
guy
was
dropped the
important.
ball on pursuing that.
Was that?
I said your guy that was going to pursue that dropped the ball.
Yeah, I don't know who that douchebag was, but he was going through some stuff in his life at that point that he had to take care of, and there was no ill feelings for the fact that he didn't commit fully to that. Um, you like you were going through some traumatic shit at that time. Um,
Now, what's funny is you seem to have frozen with this look on your face. What is going on here? Is anybody else out there tell if it's
hello,
just me or is oh
hello.
there you back. Now you're back.
Yeah, I lost connection for some reason.
Well, the look on your
So
face.
yeah, I was like, all of a sudden I had circles on both sides. I was like, what the heck's going on? Um, yeah, you were dealing with some issues in your life at that point that you needed to deal with, and there
We're
was no.
poverty related.
Yeah, I know. I remember. Hey, Olga, I love you. Uh, yeah, but
I'm glad you reminded me because I'll refresh my initiative on that.
Yeah, I mean, you're more than welcome to take that up at any point. Like it, it is an important part of our society. Um, Veterans make up a large portion of our poor, of our disenfranchised, of our incarcerated and post-incarcerated humans in our community. Like it's important that we go ahead and address their issues with as much respect and concern as we address the rest of our communities, right?
Well, this is the thing, right? And this is my gripe with services in my own program. Okay, one of the things that I hope to bridge, okay, is everything is compartmentalized, right?
Right.
We have um, LGBT populaces over here, and then we have minority this and minority that here, right? And then we have red that here, and then we have blue that here, and then we have veterans over here. And you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Olga, you want to come on and you want to come on here for a few seconds and talk about what's going on Tuesday, real quick, with me and Jimbo? Like, I would love to have you on here, and I'd love to spotlight what's going on Tuesday and why it's so important. Hold on, I'll send you a link. You don't have to come in if you don't want to, or you don't have to be on camera. You can actually turn your camera off during it if you want to. But I would love to have you talk about why it's so important and what you're doing in our community for it. Uh, so Olga White is an amazing human being. Um, she's beautiful. She's funny. She makes the greatest tamales you'll ever taste in life, um, and she happens to be my sister-in-law. But even if she wasn't those things, I would still love her the same. Her drive for equality in the community, for love, um, and and the love she has for racing is amazing. So she's going to be here in like 5 minutes. I sent her the link. She'll just jump in when she's ready. But yeah, Jim, like you know my feelings about veterans. Uh, I don't care what their politics are because they don't care what their politics are. Like they fought.
That used to be true. That used to be true, but it ain't no more.
I know there's a polarization within our military, but if
There's a
someone comes,
there's a
hold on,
division.
let me tell you, if someone comes to the United States and attempts to invade, are they gonna not stand up, put their suits on, and fight for me? If
Well,
I
the way it
choose,
looks like is if it's the Russians, half of them are going to help them.
I don't think so. I don't think so. If I choose to be a pacifist and I choose not to fight, I know that those men and women who wear those uniforms will fight for me.
Well, that's what we're brainwashed to do.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if that's a bad thing, right? If you believe in our autonomy and our liberty enough to put on a uniform and take up a gun and offer your life in exchange for my freedom, I think you're due respect. Now, those are the members who are out there and hold those racist and classist views. Um, I don't know them and I don't have anything to do with them. And as long as they do their job correctly and they protect our Constitution and they protect our citizens, that's their job. Their personal views aside, they have every right to think what they want to think and feel what they want to feel. I'm not against people being racist. If you want to be racist, be racist. Be real, but be racist, right? Don't think there's no consequences that come from that, though. Like all these people who say, well, I don't have freedom of speech if I can't say this and keep my job. Well, you do. You had the freedom to say it without being prosecuted and put in prison and
What
killed.
I'm going to do right now is I'm going to exercise my freedom to keep my big mouth shut so I don't hurt your show with some of my opinions.
I don't mind. This is a show for opinions.
You know, because I got to tell you, in the Capitol riots, the chick that they shot trying to go through that door was a vet.
Are you talking
There's been a
about
number of veterans
are you talking
that
about
have
the
been involved in
traitors?
that.
Are you talking about the
the
traitors to our country?
insurrection. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, but wait a minute. But wait, there's more. You've got these Republicans. There was one. What the hell was his name? McCarthy, one of them guys, called the president of the Ukraine a thug.
Yeah.
Right. We've got these factions in our country who support the killing of women and children,
We always had that.
but they're supposed to be a part of our government.
We've always had that.
It bothers me deeply. It
It
bothers me
should.
deeply.
That's what makes you a good human being, motherfucker. It should.
You
It
know,
just shouldn't be surprising, right? It
but
shouldn't be
here's
surprising.
the thing. Back to the topic of poverty, right? Divide and conquer. You know, there's that little saying, for want of a nail, a kingdom was lost. You know, they keep us down so damn hard, we can't fight. And then the people that are supposed to be fighting for us, the blue side up there, don't collectively have a spine.
Well, let's be honest. Blue side or red side, they're generally the same. Um, I don't see much difference in the two.
They're each a wing of the same bird, that's no doubt.
Right. They're all a part of the same problem.
So what do we do as communities? We got to get our asses out and vote, for one.
So there you go. Okay. So I talked about this last night. Voter blocks, PACs, political action committees, groups of men and women who stand together, throw all their vote into one pool and say, use that as power, right? This is how rich people do it, right? This is how lobbyists do it. Hey, listen, I'm going to give you $50 million to push this bill, and I don't, or I want you to avoid this bill. I don't want you to go to vote. You don't have to vote against it and screw your constituents by showing that you were against it, but don't show up to vote. Have a family emergency. Do whatever you're going to do. Don't be there, right? So what do we do in small elections? Like, say, we're going to talk about city and county elections right now, right? Most of our city and county elections are decided by less than 100 votes, right? Now you get a group of 500 people who commit to this political action committee, this voter block, and you go to your representative and say, hey, listen, I have 500 votes here. We want you to do this in our community, or we're going to throw that vote to someone else, or we'll abstain from voting and make sure you don't have the votes you need, right? Like, we have power if we stand together, right? But now there's the hardest thing, is convincing poor minorities who have been disenfranchised and are unbelieving in our power to make that commitment and to vote, right? Now we have to not radicalize, but actionize our community, right? We have to convince our community to stand up, stand together, put this power in control of someone who we trust, and have them represent us and stand up with our vote. Hey, all these 500 people here, we vote as one, right? You're going to supply the funding we need to get this new community center built in our neighborhood. You're going to fund to get our streets cleaned up or plowed. Like, in the poor neighborhoods, they don't even plow in Racine in the poor neighborhood. Like, they don't plow my mom's street. Her side street. Like, they don't plow my mom's street. Like, 3 years ago in that snowstorm, there was 2.5 inches of ice packed onto my mom's road, like my mom's street. But who cares? It's a bunch of poor people. They don't give a shit, right? Like, as long as the main streets are plowed and salted.
What was the same on that little street that I lived on?
Yeah. Why would they care?
I mean, that was the same thing on where I lived.
On Marquette.
Right.
Yeah. Short Marquette or Little Marquette. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt, right? Like, so we
Marquette
have that
Street.
ability now. Grow that. Like, so let's say we get the 500 constituents we need, the voters we need in our city. We build on that, and we go to Milwaukee and we tell Milwaukee, hey, listen, This worked for us. This is how we did it in Racine. Get Milwaukee together, become a sister or a sister organization to our Racine organization. Actionize your constituents, get what you need, and then when it comes to a state level, Racine and Kenosha and Milwaukee can vote together and say, now we have 1,500 votes. We have 2,000 votes. Make this governor hear us. Make this state rep hear us. Make the Koch brothers hear us.
We got a problem with that, Monty. We have a problem with that.
What?
First off, the corporate council that runs Racine County is a problem. Okay, and that's granted under the Wisconsin Constitution, right? There needs to be a changing of the guard in that council because the politics and the people who run Racine are not on the up and up.
Right, but you do that by voting them out and voting in new. You do that by removing their jobs. You do that by leveraging enough power, enough votes to force their hand, right? So it all comes down to, do you know why Republicans get away with what they get away with?
Because our rest of the accountable body is spineless?
Well, no, not just that. They just know we're not going to vote them out, so what difference does it make, right? They know that they only have to worry about 20% of the minority vote, right? Like only about 20% of minority vote.
The problem is that 90% of Wisconsin is rural. Okay?
And the gerrymandering that they've done in Wisconsin is a huge problem, right? Like we have to battle gerrymandering now.
Let me see something real quick. Shit, I hit the wrong button. Hang on a second. Go away. Trying to figure out where the hell Ron Johnson's district is. Because that's another one that shouldn't be in our government.
So how do we get them out? Right now we have a big hurdle to overcome with gerrymandering, right? They've redistricted the lines in a way that they've redistricted the lines in a way that have made it hard for the minority vote to make an impact unless we can get a large amount of. All right, hold on, over. I'm sending it right now, hon. Right, unless we can get a large group of us to vote, it's hard to make any difference, right? But once we do get there, we can redistrict. But it really has to start at a Senate and a House of Representatives in Wisconsin race, right? We have to get those senators out of there. We got to get those reps out of there. We got to get those congressmen out of there if we're going to change that, so that when the state of Wisconsin House and Senate votes, we have the votes to take care of that. They have to be afraid of losing their job for us to make any impact, and losing their income, right? They have to do both. And I am not a huge fan of Tony, our governor. But I know he's done a much better job than Scott Walker did, right? And he's doing a much better job than Scott Walker could have done, right? And I'm not a fan of Tony Evers. Like, I think there's better, right? But I think he's right now the right man for what we're doing, right? Like, if my options was going back to Scotty Too Hottie, the piece of crap Naughty, I would much rather
Circus Steele could do a better job than Walker.
Right. Walker was an inept and ignorant fool who was seeded with racism and stupidity, right? Like, he was
But he
definitely.
still did 2 terms.
Look at Tommy Thompson. Tommy Thompson was a criminal, like literally a criminal, a convictable criminal. And how many terms did
Tommy
he do? He would have
Thompson,
still been the governor if he wanted to be.
and somebody could correct me if I'm wrong, but the way I understand it was the author of the Welfare Reform Act that Clinton passed.
Hey everybody, we got a special guest here to welcome. She's someone I love dearly and respect wholeheartedly. So we're gonna bring her message on real quick. Everybody, welcome Olga White to the show. Olga,
Hey guys.
¿Cómo está usted, mijita?
As best as can be expected with all the shit that I got going on. How are you guys doing?
Jim?
Good?
I'm behaving.
Kind of. He's kind of behaving. And he's only behaving because you're on right now. Right? If you weren't on, he wouldn't be behaving. Like if I showed you our private chat.
I want you to continue on what you were saying about that lady that got shot in the Capitol riots. What were you? I just want you to finish that.
All I was talking about was the division amongst veterans that's politically charged. Because there's people out there who hail her as a hero.
Oh, yeah.
As a hero. And then there are people like me who say she was a treasonous piece of garbage who got what she had coming.
Well, I'm not going to say that, but what I will say is that, so all you have to do to discredit somebody is say that, say that's a conspiracy theory. You can discredit anybody. All you got to do is say, oh, she's full of conspiracy theories. But can you guys hear me really well?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But so just to kind of get into the gist of it, Russia's obviously been hacking into our social media for a long time, and she went down that rabbit hole. And I've taken network security classes. And trust me, I know it's hard.
We're losing you, Olga.
Is true or not?
We lost the last 30 seconds of whatever it was that you said.
It's hard to.
And that was the end of it.
It's hard to discern what you're seeing on. If you're not trained, it might be hard to discern what you're reading is true or not. If you're reading it from just some false news, right?
I don't know. I'm going to disagree to a point. Because I read the same shit that lady did. You didn't see me climbing the Capitol steps.
She probably read other shit though. And I'm not going to disagree. I just have to say that it's crazy that they got that far on that day. There have been people that have been sitting in their car. I never forget the day they shot. There was a black woman. She was sitting in her car. I think she was a block away from was it the White House? But they came out, they gunned that lady down in her car, and she was just literally sitting in her car. She didn't have a bomb or anything like that. But do you guys remember that?
I do.
So the fact that these people were able to get so close, and now I've seen some of these sentences. I kind of think they're a joke. And
compared to what some people were getting in other states, like the black lady who registered to vote after being told by her parole officer she was legally allowed to, and then them giving her 6 years in prison. I think they overturned that and let her out after all the social hubbub that blew up about it. When those 5 white guys, one of them included in her town, who voted illegally and was convicted and got probation. Like the white dude got probation. The black chick who didn't vote, all she did was register to vote because her parole officer said she could because she was off paper, and got 6 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know it.
It's that divisiveness. Keep them divided.
Yeah, Linda, you're right. They should have never been able to get that close, and they've already talked about how there was a failure on a federal and a state level and a capital level to protect the capital, right? And whether that was designed or ignorance, it doesn't really make a difference. It should have never happened. Like, we know what would have happened if black, brown, yellow, and gay people had stormed the Capitol. There would have been a bloodbath and a dance afterwards, right?
Are you kidding? They had a hard time protesting in the middle of the summer last year. They couldn't even protest in the street. And I'll never forget that quote. What did that girl say? She said, those people, she says, they were kneeling at first. And you guys that. So now people are protesting and you don't like that. But you get this large group of people who are trying to invade the Capitol. They actually get all the way there. They threw it. I'm just like, I mean, I'm not trying to, I'm just saying, where's all this police brutality when you need it?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's obvious. It was like, I don't know if you had heard my discussion and the discussion I've had multiple times about mislabeling people from Mexico, Central America, and South America as Latinos or Hispanic, and how that word is so damaging and destructive to our community. You know, they rob our indigenous status. They steal away to the point where, like, you know, I'm a member. So, you know, I participate in sweat lodge ceremonies, and I'm very active on the res, going back and forth for ceremony and with the elders. And it's funny because one of the things we have to teach a lot of the natives here in the United States is the sameness of them and our Mexican brothers and sisters. Right? Like, you can't call them non-natives; they are natives.
I know, and
right.
But it's so hard to, you know. So the difference between us is someone came here and drew a line, and someone's like, "All right, everybody over there, those are Mexicans. And all those people over here, those are Native Americans," and so they've managed to divide us.
Yeah.
Even though we're all the same people, I have my DNA test to prove it.
Yeah, me too.
So
yeah. Yeah, and it's hilarious because you know, like, I've always hated the word Latino and Hispanic. I've always hated to be referred to those as those terms, and I didn't understand it when I was younger. Like, I'd tell people I'm Mexican or I'm Apache, right? Like, correct yourself, man. Like, even before I understood the cultural appropriation and colonization that they were putting us, and that we adopted. Like, how many of our people stand up there and say, I represent the Latino vote in the United States. I represent the Hispanic people of the United States, right? And they say that shit with true belief and pride. They've been so brainwashed to believe they're European, and that makes them a better person, or a descendant of Europeans, and that makes them a better person than the rest of them.
So any person that had any Latin American, that was considered Latin American or Hispanic, was not able to legally vote in the United States until 1975. That was yesterday.
Yeah, that's the year I was born.
So before 1975, if you were Hispanic or Latino, you were not able to vote.
Jim, you were born what, 12 years before that?
Before what?
1975, old man.
1968. Fuck you very much.
I keep forgetting you're younger than I think you are. So, Olga, what are you doing in Racine right now? Because what you're doing in Racine now has, and I've been screaming it to the world and everybody I can talk to, and everybody who matters, and everybody who doesn't matter, right? Like, I talk about you a lot to people. I talk about how proud I am to be a part of your family and your circle, and how amazing it is to witness what you're doing. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you are doing?
First off, I want to tell you I love you and thank you so much for saying that. That is you are an inspiration to all of us, especially like me. I really look forward and look up to you. I really do. So thank you, Monte, for everything that you do.
It's likewise.
So okay, so you guys, I'm running for county board district 10 supervisor. So for everyone that you have right now, we have 21 districts in Racine County. That means we have 21 representatives for the county board of supervisors. And what those people do is they manage the budget for the city of, or for the county of Racine. So we're talking Burlington, Caledonia, Wind Point, the city itself, all, you know, so all of what you would consider Racine County, Union Grove, all of this. So everything, everyone has a district, and there's 21 of them. I represent the 10th district. So where I'm Wind Point, Caledonia, towards the lake. So we manage a $200 million budget for the county of Racine, and you know, we talk about, you know, not policy, but we talk about what we're going to do, you know, for the future. So what we're going to do to manage the budget, right? So that's what I'm doing. So, you know, so like I said, there's 21 of us. I'm specifically in the 10th district. We're having an election this Tuesday coming up. I'm actually running unopposed, but you could still vote for me if you live in District 10. I'd love to hear from you. I want to make myself accessible to all my constituents. And that's the same thing for every county board supervisor. They all want to be, you know, available for their constituents.
Awesome. And how's that been? How's the race going? How's campaigning?
So I was out knocking doors today for another candidate. You know, you do it in rain or snow. All of my constituents that I've run into, they're the nicest people. I've been very lucky. You know, I think a lot of people didn't know who was there, the county board supervisor, before I came along. But I gone up to them. I'm like, listen, I'm running unopposed. So really, I'm just here to introduce myself. My name is Olga White. Anything you're interested in, so am I. If you need anything, I want to make myself readily available for you guys. And I'm here. I usually give them my personal phone number, and I'm hoping that they'll call me. And I've invited everyone over to my house for coffee.
Me too.
I invited everybody over. I'm like, and I knock on people's doors and I tell them that I'm, you know, I'm running unopposed, so I'm here. And I'm running unopposed. Talk about, I'll be here. So you can come see me. I tell them where I live. I gave them my phone number. They can call me. Because I am for the people, and I really care. I grew up in Racine. I'm a daughter of Racine. I've been here my whole life.
Yeah, I'm so.
I care. I really care. I really do.
I am so proud of what you're doing, and whether you're running opposed or unopposed, I think you'd win. Your drive, your commitment, your honesty, right? It shows through in what you do. I know that you're also a small business owner here in the city of Racine, and a groundbreaking small business owner. You broke the mold for the Racine County fair, for the Milwaukee County fair, for the state fair, party on the pavement. Like the fact that nobody thought of doing what you did before you did it. It's like, how could you, once you did it, right? Like, I didn't think about it either prior to you doing it, right? Mm-hmm. Like, so if you guys don't know, Miss Olga is also the tamale lady of Racine. Like, we should have a tamale queen, contest, because you would win year after year. How much is the budget supposed to be set for fixing the roads? Asking for a friend. LOL. Linda. what is the budget supposed to be for road repair in Racine this year? Do you know? Or
no.
What was it last year?
I have no idea. I have to go into looking at it. I have not gotten an opportunity to.
Yeah, and I don't expect you to know what the budget for everything is in the city of Racine, but
I
Linda,
want to know what it is. I want to know what it is.
Want to know what it is?
Just haven't got to that yet. Um,
hey, Jimbo,
Jimbo.
Yeah.
is that feedback coming from yours?
No.
Okay.
I don't have mine turned up or anything like that. I've got my other one turned down.
We turn mine down just in case.
How's
Does
that
that
sound
help?
now, Jimbo? Yeah, I can't hear myself now.
Okay, yeah. I think that's better.
All right.
So
By the way,
So-
what I was doing, I don't know if you can tell or not, but I've got the Racine County page up, and I was trying to find out some of that information, what might be public.
I love Jim.
And that's what we're working on, transparency. We're working on that. And we try to, right now, if you guys know, Nick Dembski, he also,
I love Nick.
He's cool, right?
Yeah.
But Nick also, he put in for that. He lobbied to get more transparency to start streaming these board meetings. And I think that's like, that should have been the first thing on the agenda since day one. And I'm glad that we have, this technology that we can stream now.
Yeah. I think as more younger people get involved and start running and start winning, that'll become easier and easier and easier, right? Like most of the people who are resisting that transparency are old fuddy-duddy, I'm not going to call them inbred, but old fuddy-duddy, conservatives who don't know their ass from their elbow, right? Like they're terrified of people knowing of what they're doing in a general way, because I know very few of us attend county board meetings and city planning meetings and city planning commission meetings and town hall meetings. Like the attendance is a very small fraction of the population. But if you put that online, if you put that and stream those meetings live and print those results and print those minutes and make it something that's easily accessible to the public, then they can't hide the shit that they do, right? You can't hide your dirty laundry if you have to wash it in front of the world. Like,
Absolutely. There's more accountability for it.
Yeah.
When you think of this kind of stuff and how long, like I've been in the city my whole life, right? I never knew, a few years back, I didn't know that we had county board supervisors. There's stuff that I think the general public just doesn't know. I don't know what else to say about that other than, our best bet to do is to educate people and to let them know, and always ask questions. And this stuff has to be transparent and we have to get involved. If you want to know, the best way to stay informed is to get involved. That's always the best thing.
The first time I met Chief Howell when he was still chief, it was at Arby's. I was managing at Arby's and he came in for lunch and I seen him and his LT come in and I switched spots with my employee who was working the front. And I said, hey, go run. I quick told her, I was like, go run drive-through. I need a few minutes. And I pulled up on him and I said, Art. And he was like, you know me? I was like, yep. He was like, do I know you? I said, you're about to.
That's great.
Yeah, you're about to. And we struck up an hour. I bought him lunch, right? He kept saying, I can pay it. And I was like, no, I'm going to buy you lunch because I'm going to pester you your entire meal. And he laughed. And he was like, and he was very open to it. He was like, come sit down with me if you got time then. And we sat down and we talked his entire lunch, me, his LT, and him. And we talked about the city. We talked about crime. We talked about police brutality. We talked about transparency. He was the first chief in the city of Racine that when he was in his office, the door was never closed. Like he kept his door wide open. If you, as a citizen, went to the police department and he was in his office and he wasn't with someone, you could go in and talk to him. Right? I did multiple times. Walked in the door and said, hey, is the chief busy? Tell him Monty's here.
That's great, though.
Let me pull his ear real quick. He was the first chief of police to hire a psychologist for in-house. Like they have an in-house therapist there. She's an amazing human being. Her name's Liz. We actually moved her to her new home, and like she's proactive and intelligent, right? That was something that he had thought should be countywide. Like every single elected official in the county, he felt, right, or person in power, period. If they were in their office and they weren't with someone or on a call, the door should be open to whoever walked in. Like they're our employee, they're our servant, they are here for us. And I think that transparency is important, right? That builds a trust between our community and their and them. Like, and as people of color, I was talking when we went to the Racine Unified School District Planning Commission, and we were talking about what needs to be done to get parents more involved. My response was, what are you going to do to make the people in my community feel more comfortable with talking to you? When we historically have been terrified of you coming and taking our children, you coming in and judging our homes, you coming in and leveling accusations against us. What are you going to do as a school district to make us trust you more? Right. And that was a question they had never heard before. Like they didn't, what do you mean? What can we do? Besides your cold calls that get 99% hang-ups. We don't listen to them. I hang it up. Is the parent of blah, blah, blah. If you are, could you wait and hold or press one? Shut the fuck up, man. Like, why are you calling me like that? Right? What are you going to do? And there was talks about the picnics and the get-togethers that they tried to throw. But, I mean, they don't really come into our community and throw out flyers or knock on doors and say, hey, listen, like, we'd really love you to attend so we can get your opinion and have it heard. Now, I was just talking to Jim right before you got in about voting blocks and the power of PACs, right? The powers of political action committees and voter blocks, right? How we can change the direction of an elected official by leveraging our power as voters to force them to support what we really need in our community. And as a person of color, I think that should be our, as a poor person, because I don't want to disclude Jim, who is in our, Jim is such an amazing human being. Like he understands his privilege, and he works valiantly against it, right? Right? Like he throws his voice against his privilege on a daily basis, right? Whether it be the huge rainbow flag he flies out front of his house at all times, or whether it be the way he addresses white superiority whenever he comes across it, right? Like he stands firmly with us. Like how are we as a community going to band together and do that? Like, what's our first step? Like,
I'll give you an example. I was at a PTA meeting. They had to send it was a Spanish PTA meeting for Vivian School. So it's Wadowitz Elementary. And these women, they were trying so hard someone to join the little PTA gang, right? And I'm not, I've already got a lot of stuff on my plate, but I will give my life for my children. And
those are beautiful babies too.
Lucky that I work for myself, that I could go there and I could give them some of my time when I have some. But let's face it, we live in a society where most of the people that go to the school, the parents have to work. They have to work. And even though they really want to be there, they can't. I got to be at work. I got other kids I got to pick up. I got 3 kids. I go to 3 schools. I spend over an hour and a half driving all the kids to different schools every morning. And it takes just as long to pick them up at night. So I'm lucky I'm able to drive them in my car. Imagine the parents that have to work all those hours. And I have a husband. Imagine the single family parents, moms and dads. I'm sure they would love to participate in the PTA. It's not that people don't want to. It's just if right now 2 parents have to be working to make the household function, and this isn't They're not giving away free money, you know, year round, all the time. Even if people are getting some benefits from the state, it's not enough for them to justify quitting a job or having to work. I mean, most people, we're still living on, you know, paycheck to paycheck for real. And it matters if I'm late. It matters if I, you know, if I miss a day to, I want to go to my kids' dance too, but shit, how am I going to be there? I have to work, or somebody else has to work, or you got to, it's just a lot of stuff. It's life. They were talking about disbanding the PTA at Wadowitz, and I'm sure that's not the only school. And every time I go to a PTA meeting, no matter at what school, they're always, you know, they got people heading the field.
Yeah, I didn't have time for PTA either. I had been questioning, and you know what? For me, there was a big fear of joining that crowd, right? Like, what if they find out I'm a felon? What if they found out I did prison time? Like, that fear drove me for a long time until I stopped giving a fuck, right? Like, you're gonna either accept me or not accept me. You're either gonna know I am who I am now, or you're not. There was a lot of fear there, which isn't really a manly, tough thing to say, right? Like, but no, I was terrified that if I joined the PTA, they would find out, or did they already know? But everybody who matters knows, and everybody who truly matters doesn't give two shits because they know who I am, and I could care less, right? Like, I
But
know.
even then, do you have time to give to PTA? Do you have time? And the kids need it. They need it. And you know, the kids that do better in school are the kids that have involved parents. So we know that it works, and there's a, you know, but there has to be another way. We can't keep on these antiquated thoughts, you know, like we just have to meet after school. There has to be let me tell you, I'm big into innovation. And you guys know Dante. He's the innovation master.
I love him, man. That's my little brother.
But you know, let you know, I didn't think about this, but I really need to let Dante have a crack at it and figure out, how do we solve this missing parent PTA problem for now and forever? Because
this way, right here, like streaming and group streaming and Zoom meetings are the way of the future, right? This is our fix to not being able to be there physically. Like, we have parents who can't leave the house because they have kids coming home on the bus, but could join the meeting live just like this. And how do I know it works? We use it in our 12-step program. We have a Zoom meeting for our 12-step, and people from across the world join, right? Like, we have my brother Stashik and his wife Ava joined from Poland. We have people in Cali. We have people like this is the future of our PTA meetings and our parental involvement, right? Like, this is, what about those parents with mental health conditions that don't allow them to leave the house like normal parents, right? What physical conditions, right? We have parents who are in wheelchairs or who are not easily transportable to and from home. Yeah, Jim.
Society's assets. All right. Every state is mandated to have independent living centers for independent living. Okay. The Rehabilitation Act of 1973 mandates that. Wisconsin has 8 of them. Okay. Each of them is a nonprofit. They're federal and state funded. Society's assets, which is seen, covers the 5 counties south of Milwaukee. They go out, I think it's Rock, Jefferson, Racine, Kenosha, and Waterford, I think it might be. Right. But they are your disability advocacy center. Right. So, like, when voting is happening, Society's assets is they're making sure that people with disabilities can get that vote. Okay. You want to involve people with disabilities into the PTA and things like that, contact the independent living coordinators at Society's assets. I know because I used to be one.
that's great.
Hell yeah.
That's great.
We're hitting that hour and a half mark, you guys. I got 7 children under the age of 10 here watching movies right now. So I got our 3 little ones, my 3 grandkids, and my goddaughter. So we're watching Encanto right now, and then I don't know what we're watching next, but I know they were eagerly awaiting my arrival to join them in the movie time. Dude, have you watched Encanto yet?
I love it.
I know.
It
Like
made me cry. You know, it made me
Name my
cry.
backside, Bruno.
I hate crying. I'm tired of crying.
and we don't talk about Bruno.
Hold on.
Name
I
the
really
person
want you to reach out. I really want you
ahead.
to reach out to Society's Assets and discuss with them what you can do with the folks with disabilities in your district.
Definitely.
That would be
I'm
primo.
I'm actually gonna do that. So, you know, but thank you for that too. I'm gonna talk with Carolyn Petty and discuss that with her because she has a big part in our Democratic office. So I would be super excited to share that with her and see what her thoughts are on that. She lives in my district too. Man, it was so cool seeing you guys.
I love you.
I love you too. This is so cool.
How's Dante?
He get on my last nerves.
Always. It was the same way when we were kids growing up. So Jim,
he tells me, he says he can't believe that he was that bad because he says every time he sees people when he was younger, they're like, dude, I can't believe you're this dude now. You used to be bad as hell. He's like, I don't remember being this bad.
So listen, he was the most respectful of the 3 boys. So her husband is my stepbrother Dante, and they were pretty young when they came to us from Chicago, and they were with us all the way until I left and went to prison. But Dante was the most responsible because he had been responsible for his brothers for so long by himself, right? Before he moved in with Dad and my mom, right? So he had raised those boys as best as he could as a child. You know, he had a hard upbringing, but so he was super respectful. Like I remember the first time I heard him tell his dad, "Yes, sir." I stopped and looked like, "Yes, sir." Right? "No, sir." "Yes, sir." And my mom too. He would respond to my mom, "Yes, ma'am." "No, ma'am." Like super respectful. But man, we would watch movies and he would memorize the movie and speak it line for line as we watched it. And I'd be like, "Dante, shut the fuck up, bro." And he would do it on purpose, right? Because he knew it would get under my skin. And he just loved to poke the bear, right? Like he had no fear, right? None whatsoever. Like Dante doesn't fear anything or anybody, right? Like except maybe you, right? Like I've seen him duck a couple of times when we were in the tamale truck, and you had said something sharp, and he did the whole.
Let me tell you, let me tell you, I'm like Dante's biggest fan. He doesn't believe it. The guy is a genius. He has, I think he's up to his 13th or 14th patent on drone technology with the United States Patent Trade Office. So, you know, him and his little science mind, it's really hot. Like I think it's super hot, of course, because he's really smart, and I love that. But I admire that too. I really,
you know, he taught himself Spanish, right?
Oh, absolutely, because I didn't teach him. You know, I didn't do the shit.
And he's so good. Like he outclasses me at every level in linguistics, right? Like
forget it.
I am stunned when I hear him speak, especially like when he was doing his. I don't know if he knows this. I used to listen to his radio stuff when I first came home, and I didn't even know it was him, right? Like I heard him, I knew it was my brother, but like he was spot on perfect. Like he's such an intelligent human being. And I hate the fact that we're not as close as I wish we were on a daily basis, but we both got busy fucking lives, right? Like, but if I see him on the street and he sees me, you better know that's my baby brother. That's my bro, right? That's my blood. That's my family. That's my brother, right? Like
Dante was training the Spanish talent at the radio station to do the commercials, which is crazy as hell because that's not his first language, but he was better at it than they were. And I was to be like, is this really, he's really doing that? And for the longest time, I think he might still have a commercial running on cable television Do you guys hear him on cable TV? Have you heard this little commercial yet?
I don't watch cable TV. I just stream TV.
He's still voiceover. He still does. He still has some voiceover acting he did for some commercials, so it's still on cable.
I tell everybody he's Puerto Rican.
Piss him off. He is such a proud black man. I'm proud of him too. He's fucking awesome.
I can't begin to say how proud I am of all three of them. Like even Robert. Robert's made strides to better his life. Like with all the things against him, right? Mentally, emotionally, psychologically, like the trauma that all three of those boys went through, like throughout their lives. The fact that they're here, the fact that they're not in jail, the fact that they're caring for their children, like they're heroes, right? Like Dante's a hero. Dante had every excuse to fail and didn't take one of them. He could have followed me wholeheartedly, right? Like I failed in the beginning. Like, and I accept that, and I'm okay with that. I have no guilt for it. I feel remorseful that I failed so badly because I failed him, and I failed Robert, and I failed Christopher, and Prima, and Tina, and Dad, and Mom. Like, I failed my community, right, with my actions.
Can I tell you something? I just want to tell you that I think you were really young, and everybody makes mistakes. Nobody's perfect. As adults, I'm still fucking up, right? Like I really should watch my language because I'm running for office now, but I don't give a shit, right? but nobody's perfect. Who's perfect? And I feel like we live in a society where I wish somebody would throw some shit in my face, because there's a reason why things happen. But I don't feel like you should still pay for what you already paid for. Like you're done.
So I agree.
A very heavy price for some real light work, for real.
I agree and disagree. So I agree. So I liken my after prison life to a purchase at a retail store, right? Like, so when we go to the store and we're buying that bike for $99.99, when we walk out the door, we're paying $110, right? It's only $99.99, right? But we're paying $110 when we pay our tax. And so I paid my $99.99 when I was released from prison, right? My prison bit paid the bulk of my debt, and now I'm paying the taxes, and I'm paying them in the only way I know how to do it correctly, which is by bettering myself and my community, right? Like I'm going to fight to make up for every wrong that I committed, whether caught or not, right? So, and I think that by living that way, I can live my apology, right? Because there are human beings that I am unable to ever apologize to in my wake, and families that I can't say I'm sorry to. And so I think it's my responsibility that now I take on that mantle and say, okay, even when I even out the scale, when I heap enough good onto my scale of shit that the equilibrium hits even, right? I think I still need to heap on more good and tilt that scale until it hits rock bottom, and I put in as much good into this world that I humanly can, regardless of consequence, right? Like I have to continue to give as much, not because I owe it anymore, but because now it is my responsibility. It is my duty. It is my onus as a good citizen to continue to make the world better for the citizens that follow me. And I want my children, I want Danica and Mateo and Alana to look at me when I'm gone and say, my dad was a good dad, and he was a good citizen, and he was a good human being, and he cared. He cared about all of us, right? Even the ones we don't want to care about, which is the hardest. In the Native American culture, our prayers go first to those we've hardened our hearts to, right? We have to pray first for the people that we've built a hatred towards, the people who have harmed us, the people who have maligned us. We have to pray for them first, and we have to do it sincerely. We have to hope for the bettering of us and them, right? Like we have to hope and pray that the people who harden their hearts against us right, and hate us, find a better life and have good things. The last thing a Native American man is allowed to pray for, or warrior is allowed to pray for, is himself, and it's considered taboo to do so. Like, I have to garner enough kindness and goodwill in my community that others will pray for me. My prayers should never mean anything when it comes to praying for myself. I should never have to pray for myself because I've built enough goodness of those around me that they will pray for me, and I'll pray for them, even the ones that hate me or that hate me. And that's what I try to live by, right? Like, and I'm not a deist, right? So I don't have a God per se. I don't bow before one religion or another. I believe in eternity. I think there's scientific proof that we do exist forever. Whether that be conscious or unconscious, I don't know. Right? But we know that we're made up of electrical impulses. Electricity is energy. Energy is forever. Energy never dissipates. We've proven this, right? It just goes back into the universe. And so, if we're made of energy, there's a permanence, right? So I believe in the permanence of our energy. So I think when I die, I will be somewhere, whether I'm conscious of that or not. I don't.
What, did you and Dante go to the same church?
No, but Dante's a lot smarter than me, though.
He says the same thing. It sounds very similar.
I mean, there's too much to show that one religion or the other religion. Like Sammy was saying yesterday, when he realized that there were choices, because he had grown up with no choice but to be Catholic, right? And when he grew up and realized the only reason why he was Catholic was because of where he was born. Right? Like if he was born somewhere else, he'd have been Muslim or Buddhist or Hindu. It just depended on where you were born. It was a luck of the draw. Once I realized that, I realized the fallibility of religion.
That's, yeah.
It's much more important to just love. Like my question to anybody who tells me they believe in one God or another is the same always, and that if we prove tomorrow that there's no existence of a God, that there's no possible existence of a God, how do you change your life? Do you live differently because of that? And if you do, then you're not a good person of your faith anyways. You should live as if there's no God. You should live and believe that there is no God and live a life of goodness so that if there is a God, he'll look at you and say, even without me, you did my work.
That's true. I totally agree with that.
All right, I love you.
Love you too. You have a great one.
You too. And listen, Tuesday, bang it out.
Dude.
Everybody vote.
Message. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. I love you.
Bye, guys.
I love you. All right, Jimbo, thank you. As always, I love just talking to you, period. Although you shut the fuck up and didn't talk at all at the end, except to make some very pertinent points, which I always appreciate. We'll talk to you again Friday night, most likely. Everybody else who's on here, I love you guys. We'll see you on Friday. We might go live later in the week, but every Friday, 9 p.m., Saturday, 9 p.m., Saturday mornings, 9:30 is Formers Anonymous. We'll welcome you there as well. So for more Okor, Olga White, and Jimbo Peas, we love you. We'll see you soon.